Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's your friend Eric Johnston, and I'm gonna start the show first of all by giving myself a quick pat on the back. I have been great at starting this show at exactly 9 o'clock, letting the credits run for exactly 2 minutes with a 10-second countdown. And it's starting to feel like a real production. I gotta be honest with you. It's starting to feel like a thing. Just over a month ago, I didn't know what the hell a Facebook stream was. I had no intentions of starting a podcast or a live stream podcast. But here we are, a month and a half in, and I'm having so much fun. First of all, like I'm going to say off the top of the show, as I always do, thank you to our returning viewers. This show I've been noticing as I've been doing it. The first couple weeks, people were like, "What the fuck's Eric Johnson doing?" They come in, watch for a minute, and then they leave, and that's fine because I do the same thing. I can't talk shit when someone's going live. I watch for 2 minutes, 3 minutes, unless there's someone interesting that's on the show or talking with something I'm of interest. I'm a human being too, guys, and I'm also not completely delusional where I think that you guys are gonna watch the entire 90 minutes. However, what I have been noticing since I've been doing this show is there has been a group of maybe 20 to 30 people who have been watching the entire show, commenting along, and also they've been sharing it. Now, I say this all the time when I'm doing this show. Please share this show. It means the world to me because it gets people watching. I've already seen that Jessica Brown has shared it. Dave Diedrich has shared it. Nathan McGuire has shared it. And as always, my friend Chuck Leon has shared it. That's huge. That is so important to me because there's some people, again, not delusional. I don't think everybody knows who I am. I'm just a working, traveling stand up comedian with a gosh darn dream, and a goddamn coronavirus has halted that. Now, that's okay. I don't think that everyone should know who I am, watch everything I do, and I'm not delusional to think that everyone's like, oh shit, Eric Johnson's on, I gotta watch for 90 minutes. But there's becoming a group of people who are doing just that. And they're becoming fans of not only me as a stand up comic, but now me as a live Facebook podcaster. And that is so special to me. This is a completely new avenue for me. I've been doing stand up comedy for over 10 or close to 10 years, over 9 years, 9.5, 9 and 3/4 years. I don't know if these 2020 counts for doing stand up comedy because I've only done stand up comedy maybe 20 times in 2020. So we'll see. But I'm approaching 10 years as a stand up comic. I'm approaching 24 years as an actor. I know that you guys follow me on social media, but there's a lot of questions. Who am I? Who's in here? Who is the dude behind the sunburn and the open button up shirts? Who is that guy? Now, you guys have learned a little bit about me by what I've been talking on the show. You've been learning about me through topics that I like to talk about, topics that I avoid, topics that give me anxiety, topics that make me happy. You guys are learning about me. But tonight, it's all about asking me anything. Now, when I originally started to do this Ask Me Anything, I came up with the idea of the Ask Me Anything, I thought, well, I don't think anybody cares. Nobody cares to ask me anything, but I am blown away by the response that I've got of people who have been asking genuine, honest, open questions, which are going to lead to genuine, honest, open answers. Are we going to have a laugh? Of course, it's a fucking comedy show. Are we going to get real? Are we going to talk about some truths, some hard truths, some realities about me? Of course, because that's what the fucking show is about. Now, I'm going to mention, as I mentioned off the top of the show, as always, like I said already, if you can see me, please share this stream. I'm about to see this little 17 chest haired area where my heart is. Pow! I'm opening it up. I'm also sunburnt, but I've been running on the treadmill and I'm getting a chin back because I've been eating for the first month of quarantine. It's time to lose again. I'm dropping an LB, so I've been running on the treadmill. But that's not the point. That's not the point. The point is not my chins. It's below my chins is my heart. And I'm about to open it up to anyone who has a question. Now, you can do this one of two ways. You can ask me a question. If you've already asked me a question on the Instagram poll that I did, or message me directly on Facebook, I appreciate that. Thank you to those who asked a question. I had someone who actually asked me a bunch of questions. Someone from my past, a very close friend of mine, who's actually gonna come on this show and be kind of like the moderator for this show, because he's genuinely one of the most inquisitive people I've ever met in my entire life. On top of being one of the most genuinely amazing and honest and open people I've ever met in my life. So he's gonna come on and he's going to moderate. Now, I'm going to welcome, as I do every episode, to anyone who would like to join this stream, this StreamYard stream. I had some issues with people trying to get on last show. I don't know if that's going to happen again. I hope not. But I'm going to be the first comment, this StreamYard comment. I just put it in the comments of this stream. I found out that if you click on the first one, if you click on the first time I do it, because I do it a couple times throughout the show, that is a clickable link that you can open on your phone. Give StreamYard access to your phone and your camera, whatever, your microphone, and then you'll be able to come on and join the show. When you come on and join the show, it just means you can come on and ask me anything. That's what the name of the game is. Come on, ask me questions. That's one way that you can do this. The second way that you can ask a question is by leaving a comment. Comment in the comments. I'm able to see the comments if you have a question for me about anything. I'm going to try to keep it cleaner tonight. I'm not going to go too dirty or anything like that, as I often try not to do. But if you have a funny question, an opening, something that you have always wondered about me, we've already got one right away. My friend Rob Petrina, he said, "Is Kath still mad at me for you breaking your ankle in my neighbor's backyard?" No, I think she's since forgotten about that. And she often asks, "Whatever happened to little Robbie Petrina?" But Rob is a very good friend of mine, and I'm actually going to be delivering him a bullwhip shirt this week. And we're going to be getting drunk in his driveway. Social distancing, of course, because we're just that kind of people. But he's a Croatian man, so he's going to have some Schlevo or some brandy or some rye and ginger ale. And he doesn't talk like that at all, but his parents do. And we're going to have some shots. So cheers to Robbie Petrina. That's how you do it, guys. You ask a question, I'll answer. For anyone who's inquisitive about... I broke my ankle when I was 11 years old in Robbie Petrina's neighbor's backyard. Robbie Petrina's neighbor Robbie built a zip line in his neighbor's backyard that was literally like from the zip line in Home Alone 1, where he's trying to get from the house to the fucking tree house. We had one of those, and I didn't have the upper body strength that I do now. So I was hanging from this zip line, and my arms just were like, "I can't carry your fat bottom." So I my hands just disintegrated, and I fell about, I'm going to say 20 feet, Robbie. You might have to fact check that one. It felt like 20 feet. I fell 20 feet and snapped my ankle. I thought when I hit the ground, I thought I hit a tree branch, and I was like, oh, that was that noise. But the noise was my ankle. And the roughest part about that whole story is, I was almost a rough part. Robbie had to take me back to my house. My dad was still alive at the time. My dad was shaving. He came out covered in shaving cream. And he's like, what? And I knew that if we told the truth, that they would cut the zip line down. So I was like, I tripped over a scooter and my ankle's just hanging there. And I'm like, oh, it's a scooter-related incident, because they can't burn a scooter, but they can cut down a zip line. So they busted us at the hospital because the doctor's like, this is from a high-impact fall. This is not from a scooter-related injury. So, long story short, we had to cut down the zip line. See? Stories, questions. There we go. Now, I'm going to bring on our official moderator. This man is one of my not longest friends. I've had friends for 25 years, but one of my most important friends. It's one of those friends where it doesn't matter where you are in the world. It doesn't matter what happened in your life. It doesn't matter how much time it's been between since you talked. He's one of those people that when you start talking, you're right where you left off, which makes him the perfect question moderator and also special guest co-host for the Eric Johnston Ask Me Anything. He's one of my most favorite people in the world, and you guys are going to love him. Originally from Lemoore, California, now living in a town next to Lemoore here. He just told me and I already forgot. Please welcome my very good friend, Larry Price.
Hello, world.
Dude. Hello.
Yeah, that town is Hanford, by the way.
Hanford. He's in Hanford, California, if anyone has a Google.
Correct. Yeah, Eric, I realized as you were speaking that there may be one more thing that we have in common that I wasn't aware of until you introduced the show today, regarding your button-up shirt. Mm-hmm. Even though I am not wearing a button-up shirt right now, I often do when I'm socializing. Mm-hmm. And I have been told, and I'm wondering if you could say the same thing, I have been told that you can measure my level of intoxication based on how many buttons are still buttoned up.
Well, I think that's perfect. Although I already start pretty low. So like I've only just had my first sip of my Georgian Bay smashed soda strawberry, who are not yet a sponsor, but we're still working on it. And this is my first sip, and I'm 3 down. But if I start going lower, if you can see my fucking belly button, I'm bombed.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I think definitely once you're getting to the 1 or 2 final buttons, that pretty much spells blackout for me at that point.
If it's wide open and if you're doing the guy from the 1998, I believe you would know, Larry, the 1998 version of Romeo and Juliet with Leonardo DiCaprio. You know the gas station scene where they're having the gunfight and they all have the open Hawaiian shirts. If I look like that, I'm fucking wasted, okay? That's how you know. If you can see my midriff, I don't know if that is what's a midriff. If you can see into my belly button, you can see into my soul, and it's black. That's what's going on, because I'm out.
You know, I remember they showed us that movie in high school. Do you think that would be an appropriate film to show high school freshmen?
Romeo and Juliet?
Yeah.
I think the use of ecstasy and premarital sex and murder-suicide is not the best story for preteens and teenagers, but I mean it's Shakespeare. It's shaky. You know what I mean? You gotta go with the classics, and that is a classic. Before we go in now, Larry, the reason why I brought Larry on the show, first of all, because he's one of my very good friends. I was going to do this show solo. I was just going to do just me shooting shit to the camera, but I realized that's going to feel like a TED Talk about 5 minutes in. We're going to have no human interaction. I'm going to watch from the live viewers go from 25 to 30 to 5 to 10. So I brought you on. But the reason why I brought you on is because you actually, when I put this up on Facebook yesterday, you asked me a ton of questions, which I loved, because although we've been friends for 10 years now, 10 years we've been friends, you're in California, I'm in Hamilton. I guess we should tell the people where we met. We met we were both attending the Acting for Film and Television program at the Vancouver Film School.
Correct.
Where we met, and like a good friendship story, we're immediately enemies, and then slowly became best friends, and you and Moses and maybe Kelsey are my longest friends from that school. So you and I were enemies, and then I think the reason, and we talked about this before, the reason why we were enemies is because we were so similar. We were both that dude in the school who were trying to say and do certain things, and we were threatened by each other, and we both didn't have the emotional maturity to realize, hey, well, this would be better if we got along, so then we became enemies. But then we regret.
Yeah. I think all of that is very fair to say. I definitely think that anytime I'm in an environment, whatever it is, whether it's a new job or school or whatever, like I pick my spots, and I find when to, be that guy in the group, and you probably feel similarly, but whenever you have somebody else in that group who sort of has this big sort of outward, personality in the group, I don't mesh well with that at all. So,
nor do I.
Yeah. And
Especially you also got to take into factor. We are both. You're from Southern California. I'm from Eastern Central Canada. We end up in Vancouver, and we both know no one, know nothing. We're taking a giant leap by going to film school. We're already so nervous. The school is not so expensive. If there's anyone watching the Vancouver Film School, I think it's a great deal. But it's an expensive school. So there's a lot on the line. So you're trying to make friends and you're just jostling for position. Who's the funny guy? Who's the guy who likes sports? Who's the guy and girl who likes to party? Who likes to do this? Who's the more nerd type? You're jostling for who's going to fit these archetypes of characters in a film school. And you and I were just like same character head to head. And here's the thing, and I will admit, I hate to put you on the spot, but I didn't hate you first. I just found out that you hated me first. So I had to be like, well, fuck him. I hate him too. Because that's the mature thing to do. Instead of talking it out like adults, I just decided to, okay, well, if he hates me, I'll hate him too.
well, and then I remember distinctly, and no, everything you just said is 100% accurate.
Thank you. I feel good about that.
So I remember, distinctly being like, oh yeah, I do not want to be around that guy at all. If I cannot be around him, I will be a happier person. But I remember distinctly that we were at a bar and you had like taken the initiative to come up to me and to talk to me and to explain how clearly there were similarities between us and how there's potential for us to actually be friends instead of not liking each other for all of the wrong reasons. So I commend you for doing that, because I still feel that like that must have taken a lot of balls, and I've never had anybody else do that to me in my entire life.
I was probably drunk, but yeah.
Could have been that.
No,
true.
Here's the thing, and I was having a conversation about this with somebody recently. I'm more of a person to, okay, let's figure this out, because I can't handle the dramatics. I can't handle the awkward tensions. I can't handle the bullshit of that. I've been through enough in life. Okay, I've been in you too, where I don't need any more conflict. Do I find myself in conflict because of that very notion? Because when I'm like, fuck you, I'm not dealing with this, that creates conflict. But then I realized early on that I was like, no. Not fuck you, I'm not going to deal with this. It's let's deal with this right now. Get it sorted, because I can't handle if that person's there, then I can't go. And then if they're there, and then the girlfriend's gonna tell that we were there, and I can't do it. It fucking drives me crazy. So I'm the type of guy that's just like, okay, let's sort it now. And sometimes that leads to people being like, don't talk to me, get the fuck out of here. Or at least to us, where we're like, okay. And then we just became best friends. And then we realized how much we had in common with wrestling, with our relationships with our fathers, all of that kind of stuff was all the same. And we're like, dude, we're the same dude. And you're like, I don't know why we hated each other. I'm like, me either. We're hugging, we're doing shots of Jaeger. And then that was it. Yeah,
I think it's funny to me, that you, and then I would even say Joe, who you had on the show a few episodes ago. I would say with you and him, people who I did not associate with much during the time that I lived in Vancouver, yet post Vancouver Film School, I talked to, I would say, more frequently than other people that I did associate with, of course, quite frequently. So,
okay, enough about our life and love and all that stuff. We got a show to run here, darling. So as before I get into this, I'm going to, first of all, say, as I always do, if you could see Larry and I right now, please share this stream. I see since I said something, Robbie Petrina shared it, as I told a story about him. If you can see me, see Larry, please share. It's so important. It gets people watching, gets people engaged, it creates fans of not only I, and also Larry. Now I'll do this now, get this out of the way. If you want to follow Larry, he's got a ton of hilarious content. Larry Price at Larry J Price on Instagram. He also is not only an actor, filmmaker, film buff, which now I'm thinking I should have had you on, haven't seen it, but it would have been a boring episode because I haven't, you have. That would have just been the conflict, and then that would have been over. Like those two movies behind you, haven't seen them, but but actually I have seen Jaws. But anyways,
Yeah.
so that show's done. You're here now. I'm gonna start right away. The first one that came in on the comments, and yeah. So I don't know, Larry, if you want to ask me, Larry,
Well,
moderate.
you see, I have to tell you, I did notice this question in the comments, and I'm still trying to decipher the exact meaning of this. So I'm going to try my best by using my English language teacher skills right now. It says, "Where is the worst looking place you've been?" But actually, after a show / sometime, there it was a really good place. So in English, I think what we're trying to say is, can you think of a place that you thought looked shitty, and then once you had a chance to look around or travel around, you thought, wow, this is a nice place?
Yeah, especially after doing shows there. Very great question, Alex. Thank you. He's probably stoned. He just, in his mind, he was sounding like Shakespeare rewriting Romeo and Juliet.
I certainly hope that's the case.
The answer is very simple: Saskatchewan, as a whole, the entire province. I was excited to get to Saskatchewan because I had never been there before, and this is right in the middle of my last tour. And actually, Chad is writing Winnipeg. Winnipeg actually is a beautiful city. It's just full of crime. That's a different story. So we're going back to Alex's question. Saskatchewan. I had never been to Saskatchewan, and I think the prairies are beautiful. But Larry, I don't know. I'm assuming you haven't been to Saskatchewan.
Yeah, no.
Okay, so you're an American. Picture North Dakota.
Okay.
Flatter. Completely flat.
Okay.
Picture Iowa.
Yep.
But cold. Okay.
Okay. Gotcha.
Alex said, "Thank you. I never realized my bad English, but you nailed it." That's what he meant. See, he's an English teacher.
I hope so.
When I went to Saskatchewan on my last tour, I was excited to be there, but when you get there, you realize there's not much going on. It's literally, you can drive for 8 hours. Put it this way, the rule when you're driving through Saskatchewan, if you see a gas station, get gas, because you don't know when the next one is. It could be an hour, it could be 3 hours, it could be 8 hours, it could be 9 hours. So it's the middle of nowhere, but I will say this. Every single show, I did 5 shows in Saskatchewan. All 5 of them sold out. They were the best shows of the tour, and I've spoken so highly about this place before, but Climax, Saskatchewan, it's the town has 150 people in there, and I don't think any of them Climax. I sold out the local community center. I sold 120 tickets at the Lions Club, which means 30 people in the entire town stayed home. I've spoken about this place before. It was the highlight not only of that last tour. It's one
or the climax, you might say.
Some would say the climax of my last tour. It was the climax of my career, and somewhat, in a way, that one of the climaxes of my life. And I'll tell you why. I have no market in Saskatchewan. I have no fans in Saskatchewan before this show. This was a one thing where the mayor / baseball coach / president of the Lions Club / guy that everybody knows in the town, he's all the same guy. He heard I was doing a show in Swift Current, Saskatchewan, and asked if I would do the show in a town called Climax. And I looked at it. It's so small. When you're zooming in on Google, it doesn't even come up. Like if you put in Climax, it's just a pin, but there's no information.
There's no outline of the city on
there's
there?
no city. It's not a city. It's one street. And I got there and it was fantastic. The nicest people I'd ever met in my life. I do an hour a night on my shows. I did an hour and I think 25. I was pulling out jokes that I hadn't done in 5 years, literally relearning them as I'm saying them. And they're like applause break, applause break, applause break, applause break. They were so appreciative. And again, it's not because I'm famous there. I was that night because I was the only thing happening and had ever happened in Climax, Saskatchewan. So I was the king of that town. So when I left the thing, they all became such good fans of mine. They all bought merchandise. They all follow me on Instagram. I'm sure there's someone from Climax watching right now, and if not, they will be when I put it up on YouTube later. So yeah,
I will be so happy if somebody from Climax types a comment in or something like that.
it's
That will
me.
make my night.
Well, we'll see. The internet access is slow out there. Another one from the comments right away. If you want to read this one.
Yes.
Larry.
So Jessica asks, have you ever experienced something creepy in a motel or hotel room while you were alone on the road?
Now, fans of the show and people of Eric Johnston know that I am terrified of fucking everything. Now, I've stayed in the Banff Springs Hotel, in Banff, Alberta, which is, I did a show there and stayed there the night. It's literally one of the most haunted places in Canada. But I was so sick, I had strep throat that I didn't even care. I'm like, I'm going to die regardless. I'm going to be a fucking ghost that haunts this hotel. So I don't give a shit. I'm not scared at all. What I did was on my last tour, I went out and did a show in a town called Miramichi, New Brunswick. We're in the pub after, and it had a creepy vibe. Like it was an 130-year-old law office, and it was like right on the water in this like kind of sleepy town in the middle of New Brunswick, which is like for you, Larry, that's like Maine north.
Right.
So, we're in the pub, and the guy's like, oh, he's like, you want me to show you around? And I'm like, sure. So he takes me upstairs. It's like an old law office where this guy used to live. And he's like, yeah. He's like, well, they're still here. And I was like, what? And he's like, oh, they still live here. They're just ghosts. They very prevalent haunting people of this, whatever. And I was like, okay. He's like, well, this is the most haunted pub in New Brunswick. And I was like, okay. Like people know that I'm afraid of this shit. So I was like, all right. And he's like, no, seriously. He's like, look on our Facebook page. We've got a clip of us all sitting at one of the tables. We're cashing out for the end of the night, and all these glasses just fly, literally, like vertically, like hip, boom, hip, boom. They come out of the glass holder thing, float, and then smash into the ground. And they all look over and they're all like, what the fuck? And then they all, whatever. It's on their Facebook page. And I was like, okay, I need to leave here. And he's like, well, like, don't worry. There's probably nothing more haunted. He's like, where are you tomorrow night? And I was like, I'm at the Algonquin Resort in St. Andrews by the Sea, New Brunswick. He's like, oh, well, that's one of the most haunted hotels in Canada. And I was like, you motherfucker.
Oh, God.
So like an idiot, I go back to my hotel in Miramichi and I start Googling St. Andrews by the Sea fucking haunted stories. Sure enough, tons of them. Tons. The hotel does haunted ghost walks at night. There was a story about how there was this bellman who worked for the hotel for like 50 years, and he died in his like 80s, and he was like the number one doorman of the resort. And the story is a true story written on the internet about this couple that checked into the hotel late one night, and the front desk was closed, but the guy, an older man with white hair, greeted them at the front door. He took them up to the room. As he's walking them up to their room, he said he's telling them the history of the hotel and that this in 1798 and this and this and this. He checked them into their room, went into the room with them and said, okay, you guys all good? Everything's good? They said, yep, thank you so much. And the couple put their suitcases down, turned around to tip him, and the man was gone. And they're like, oh, okay, well, whatever. He must have just had to run off, whatever. So they go in the morning, they go down to the front desk, and they go, hey, we were checked in late last night by some very nice old man. He brought us to our room, and we wanted to give him a nice tip, but he didn't stick around for us to tip him. We'd just like to meet up with him and give him a tip. And they go, well, can you describe this man? They go, well, he's up with 5'8" and blonde, very white hair, probably mid-80s. And they go, oh, that's Gus. Gus actually died 3 weeks ago.
Oh, God.
And I don't know where you land on this about skeptics or believers of haunted things, Larry.
You know, I think if I would have heard that story, I mean, it probably would have been like a very fascinating thing to me. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it would have deterred me from staying there. I mean, without getting into any of my experiences, I mean, I definitely have had experiences that lead me to strongly believe that there are things beyond our understanding out there, you know?
And I would agree with you, and I think that's where I stand. However, it still scares the fuck out of me. And he's telling the guys, I read this and then I check into the hotel. I'm like literally looking at the bellman. I'm like, okay, he's young. He's good. I'm questioning my own sanity now. And the hotel looks like the hotel from The Shining. I haven't seen The Shining, but I know what it's about. And that's what it looked like. And then there was another story about this is the one I heard that like they're famous for. This is their famous haunting story. There was in the 1890s, the first guest was this woman from Ireland. She was like a princess of Ireland, and she wanted to be married in the Algonquin resort, and she was marrying some sailor from a Canadian sailor who was out on the water. And what happened was their wedding day was on Saturday, May 7th in 1890. He went out on the boats to be a sailor, or whatever the fuck they did in 1890, catch crabs and, I don't know, sing sea shanties or whatever the fuck they do out there. And I guess they got caught in a storm, and he couldn't make it back for Saturday for the wedding. And it's 1890 or 1870, whatever the fuck it was. There's no cell phones. Can't be like, hey, sorry, we're caught in a storm. I'm not going to make it. He couldn't send a carrier pigeon. They're out in fucking the middle of the Atlantic. So he just didn't make it back. Now, the woman, the Princess of Ireland, or whatever the fuck she was, she thinks that the man has stood her up. So she goes into her room, has a nervous breakdown, cries, and kills herself in the room. Now, they believe so strongly in this legend that that room is blocked off. You cannot stay in that room where this happened. Oh. Like, it's like literally, I'll go like 1703. Okay, there's no room there. 1707 is your room, ma'am. Like, there's like, they just go right past it.
Yeah.
And so I know this. So I'm checking into the hotel. I'm performing there at the Algonquin Resort, and they're giving me a room to stay in the hotel, which is part of my contract. But the rooms, I think, were like $500 a night. Oof. So I was not going to be like, oh, I heard this is haunted, so I'm going to drive 45 minutes up to a Motel 6 where I'll probably more likely to get murdered at, rather than this is one of the nicest hotels in Canada. Right. So I say to the guy, I'm joking, I'm like, you better not put me near that bridal suite room. Then the woman killed herself. And he's like, no, sir. He's like, would you like to go see the room? No. He's like, we often have a puddle on the ground. It represents her tears. I'm like, no. I don't want.
What?
I guess they have this viewing that every time they go in to clean it every couple months, because I guess it's just they don't want it to be dusty. So they go in, and I guess one day where the woman was crying, they just found a big circle of water on the ground with no leak above, no leak below, nothing. The guy's telling me this as I'm fucking checking into the hotel, and I was like, oh my god, fuck this place.
He was going to take you to go see the puddle of paranormal tears.
I think he could sense my fear and thought it'd be funny to make a joke because I'm a comedian. Little does he know that I literally almost went, and then turned around and got in the car and drove back to fucking Ontario, which is a 12-hour drive. So anyway, so the answer, long story. Actually, the end of that story is I did the show. It was my favorite show of the tour. There was 250 people there. I fucking murdered. I went back to my room and had the best night's sleep of the entire tour. I literally slept like an angel, just on feathered down, and I'm like, come on in, bride. You can kill me. I'm sleeping so soundly.
Yeah, I mean, you slept like an angel, and you were surrounded by him, dude.
Okay, that. I don't know. Okay, yeah. You're right. I saw another one. Okay, this is a good one.
Yeah, so you've got a question from Chad who says, what's the craziest thing a fan in one of your audiences has done?
I almost got murdered by a Chechnyan warlord.
Oh my god.
He was not a fan, but he was in the audience. I'll make this story quick. Those first two stories are way too long. I used to run a show here in Stony Creek called Comedy in the Creek. There was this older gentleman who came into the show fucking wasted. But like as a true Hamiltonian, every paying ticket is a customer. They can come on in. So I let the man in. He was alone. He was with nobody. He sat on this group of, I don't know, maybe tables were of 10. There's probably 7 or 8 people at a table. He just sat down with them right front row. And he's watching the show, and he's getting more belligerent. And he's like, I literally found out. Actually, he was a former Yugoslavian war like captain. Which backstory was Stone Creek in the 90s. The war in Yugoslavia broke out. A lot of the Croatians, Serbians, and all everyone came to Stone Creek, and a lot of them are my very good friends. Some of those guys who were in the war, a little fucking crazy. So he comes to the show, and he's having a wonderful time, and he starts yelling out and chirping the comedians. He's trying to heckle. Now, I don't necessarily usually have to deal with hecklers because if you've seen me do comedy, I'm moving way too quickly and way too fast and way too loudly for anyone to be like, "Oh, I have something to say." I'm already at the other side of the stage doing a different act out.
Right.
So I don't usually get heckled a lot. I've been lucky in my career in that way. But we still do this joke. But this was probably about 4 years ago. But I go that started the joke because I have some really exciting news, and there was just like a half a second pause. And he went, "What? That you're fucking gay?" And I was like, first of all, I've heard that one before in my competitive dance days. And I said, "No, sir." And then I kind of just gave him the benefit of the doubt. I know he's fucked up, and I know he's an older guy, and I know he's Serbian, and I know he's got some problems. So it's fine. And I go, "No, sir." So my tactic with hecklers is just to kind of befriend them and then move on. Like, "Hey, you're having a great time. Have a great time. All right." And then just move along. They got the attention that they thought they wanted. And then I move on. I rarely go into negative. But he just kept going. So eventually, mid-set, I went, "Someone get this fucking piece of shit out of here." Now, what happened was I usually had a table. I'm friends with some not bad people. I'm friends with some other side of the tracks people. I have some friends who are Hell's Angels. I have some friends who are in the mafia. I have some, just from being a Hamilton guy and an entertainer, I make friends with these type of people. There was this table that always sat front row. The guy would just buy out the table, give me cash, and then give out tickets to his boys and girls of their motorcycle gang. They would always sit front row, and they were always my favorite audience member. Bikers, I find people are afraid of bikers. Bikers have the most fun anywhere they want to go. They used to be so great. Now, I knew that these bikers are sitting front row, so I'm fucking ballsy. I'm looking at the table. "Someone get this piece of shit out of here." I look down at the table and realize bikers aren't at that show. It's actually a table of like, I don't know, 100 to 120 pound girls. And this Chechen warlord, Yugoslavian Serb machine gunner stands up and he's like, "What?" He stands up. Once he stands up, because he was sitting the whole time, I realized that he was like 6'7", 300 pounds. And he starts fucking bombing the stage. And as he's bombing the stage, he's yelling, "He called me piece of shit! He called me piece of shit!" And he fucking almost gets his 1 foot on the stage. I reach down for the oak stool, the classic comedian oak stool that's always on the stage.
Yeah.
I pick it up to just swing it at him. And someone, actually, I'll tell you exactly who, John Rosmus, local firefighter, grabbed him from behind and pulled him back. And it took literally like 10 people to get this guy from the front all the way to the back door. And the entire time, he's going like, "You piece of shit, I'll fucking kill you. I'll fucking kill you." My mom, like, "I'm calling the cops." My mom's at the show. Someone calls the cops. So now I have to finish my set. I still have like 15 minutes left. So I'm like, okay, so that was weird. Anyways, and I started doing my material, and I think everyone was like, "Holy shit," and it ended up being a great show. But yeah, that was the craziest, I think. This
That's
is actually
insane.
one of your questions, Larry. Actually, no,
Yes.
sorry. This one's not your question first. I have one that was asked to me on Instagram today, which is 2 hilarious stories. And again, I'll get through them quickly. And one of them actually involves you because I saw you the day that this happened.
Okay.
Have you ever cried in public?
Ooh.
Now, I've mentioned on the show, I'm a Cancer. I'm an emotional guy. I got no problem crying. I'll cry in public. The 2 most notable times that I've cried in public both involve celebrities. Now, I don't want to tell these stories to say like, "Hey, I'm a dude that hangs out with celebrities," but they just happen to be both hilarious crying stories that took place in front of celebrities. Now, I'm not going to get this twisted. The celebrities being there had nothing to do with the fact that as to why I was crying. They just happened to be there. So the first one involves Joe Rogan. who, as if you saw on the news today, he made a partnership deal with Spotify that Joe Rogan Experience is now going to be on Spotify. The contract was $100 million. The reason why I'm telling you this story is because I saw you this day, the day that I was in California and we went to
right.
Universal Studios.
Yes.
As I mentioned off the top of the show, Larry lives in California. I was performing at the Comedy Store on Sunset Boulevard in West Hollywood, California. I was invited down there by Russell Peters to open for him. And also invited down by Angelo Sarucas, who runs the All Canadian Showcase on Canada Day at the Comedy Store. I go on stage. I'm slotted to do 7 minutes. I think I did exactly 7, and I did fantastic. It wasn't my best show, I can be honest, and I'll tell you why. Because I am a long-form joke teller. So, like, my shortest joke is 6 minutes. So if someone says you're doing 7, I'm basically doing an intro, 1 joke, and an exit. That's it. So I was going all day. What is the joke I'm going to be on the world's biggest and most important, I believe, comedy stage in at least North America, if not the world? What am I going to do? So I did 1 joke that I'm very proud of. I love the joke. It's a fan favorite. It's about my mom yelling at me in an Irish-Scottish accent, and it does very well. But what was more important to me is I had this kind of out-of-body experience where I thought in mid-set, in mid-joke, in mid-material, holy shit, I am performing on the main stage of the Comedy Store. I've been doing open mics. I've been driving around Canada for the last, at this point, it was 8 years of my career. This was 2 years ago. I've been going everywhere, doing everything, hustling. This is just a little finish line in the story of my life, and I'm so unbelievably excited. So I go on stage, and I have this kind of out-of-body experience, which makes me feel even better. I do very well, which makes me feel amazing. I'm so overwhelmed with emotions that I come off stage, I shake the host's hand, I walk down behind, out, now I'm in the parking lot behind the Comedy Store. I'm so overwhelmed with joyous feelings that I just start bursting into tears. I was uncontrollable, unconsolable.
Yeah.
Just like I literally am bawling, and I'm already an ugly crier to begin with. So I am in the back of the Comedy Store where all like that video, you see all the old videos of the Comedy Store, where they all hang out behind the stage. I'm literally going, I literally tuck behind the Comedy Store van, which has been parked back there since 1970. And I'm literally like, I just couldn't believe it. I literally like lift my eyes like this, and I look up, and standing talking on his cell phone is fucking Joe Rogan. One of the most famous people in the entire fucking world. And he didn't say anything, but he kind of looked at me like, are you fucking all right or what? And I almost wanted to be like, this is a really big moment for me. but because it was Joe Rogan, and he was also probably one of the toughest guys in the world, I was just like, how you doing? I just fucking whoop, right backstage, and then we had a great night. I got fucking wasted. And we drank old fashions in the back store, at the back of the Comedy Store, and that was great. The second part of my celebrity cry experience was in front of, and you're gonna love this, Larry, was in front of Jake the Snake Roberts.
Oh boy.
So, again, nothing to do with them. It had nothing to do with Jake the Snake Roberts. I love Jake. I grew up around wrestling. I think he's got a fantastic story. His Resurrection of the Snake documentary is groundbreaking, and I'm so proud that he was able to dig himself out of addiction and mental health and become the man that he's become today. I'm gonna say that. But I don't give a fuck enough about him that I'm gonna cry when I see him. What happened was I was in a fight with a local comedian named Manola Zantano. So the reason why we were in a fight is because, and again, I hate conflict, but the reason why we're in a fight is his agent reached out to him looking for someone to play a police officer in a TV show. And Manolis was like, I can't do it, but I know this dude, Eric, who's like, he got tight haircut. He's a bigger dude. He'd probably be like a great cop. So Manolis reaches out to me and goes, hey, they want you to be this cop on this TV show that shoots in Hamilton. I'm like, dude, this is fantastic. I would love that. So I show up to set. I get to set, and I find out that the role is a background role, which I don't do because I'm a principal actor. And I've been a main character on a TV show. So in the industry, it's kind of a step backwards. You don't do background work if you've already been a principal actor. I don't give a fuck. Money's money. But it just doesn't look good.
Sure.
So I show up and I'm like, oh, this is background? And they're like, yeah, they didn't tell you? I was like, no, they told me this was principal police officer. I said, okay, I'll tell you what. I'm here now. I'll do the role, but as soon as that role's done, I'm not getting into regular clothes and just becoming a face in the crowd. I'm going to do this and then I have to leave. And they're like, okay, that sounds great. So they do the thing. We shoot till lunch. I'm playing a police officer. We get to lunch. They're like, hey, you're wrapped as police officer. Round of applause. Thank you so much, Eric. And I'm like, okay. And then the guy PA comes up to me. And he's like, hey, can you come over here? Come over to wardrobe. We're just gonna throw you in like a regular like street uniform. We're gonna be in the back of this next scene. And I went, no. I'm not doing that. And they're like, oh no, we really want you to do that, but I'm not doing that. So I went, okay, well hold on. I'm just gonna go to the washroom. Literally stood up, fucking left, got in my car, and went home. So I guess this person called Manolis' agent and was like, what the fuck? Your actor left on us or whatever. Manolis didn't get any of the backstory, so he just thinks I tried to fuck him.
Oh, okay.
So I'm running a show at Club Absinthe in Hamilton, and Manolis shows up, and he's there to fucking confront me about what I did. Jake the Snake Roberts is the headliner. I'm hosting a show for Jake the Snake Roberts. So I were in the back kind of area, like the behind the bar back area, the green room of Club Absinthe. And I'm back there, and Manolis comes back, and Manolis is a lovely dude. He literally helped me get my start in stand-up comedy. But he's got a temper. People know that. So he comes into the back, and he just starts, you motherfucker, I can't believe you would fucking do that. You dragged my name through the fucking mud, blah, 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 blah. Like he just literally, he's standing there with his finger in my face, just yelling at me. And I don't know if this is part of my genetic makeup, but I have two emotions when it comes to when I'm faced with conflict: angry or sad. And he was already so angry that I couldn't match his anger. So I literally just started bawling.
Oh my God.
I'm 6'1", 240 pounds, crying. Literally. And I'm literally trying to explain to him, Manolis, you just don't understand. You weren't there. They lied to me. They lied to you. It's not a good look. I was on Splat-A-Lot. Where's the Splat-A-Lot poster? I was on Splat-A-Lot. It doesn't look good. I am a principal actor. I can't do background. My agent would be pissed. As this is happening, who walks into the green room? Jake the motherfucking Snake Roberts. And the dude is like 6'7", notoriously one of the hardest fucking dudes in wrestling. And he literally rounds the corner, and I'm like, again, wiping tears out of my eyes. And Jake looks at me, he's like, you gonna be all right? I was like, I couldn't even explain to him. I'm like, yeah, background work. So yeah, have I ever cried in public? Couple times. Two of them just happened to be in front of some of the biggest celebrities in the fucking world.
That should be, one of your new goals in life, to see how many celebrities you can cry in front of.
Non-related to the celebrities.
Just make the worst first impression possible.
I think if I met Jim Carrey, I would cry tears of joy like that. Like, I think that's the only celebrity I think if I were to meet them, I would be overwhelmed and start crying.
I've thought about that same question too. Like what celebrity could I meet that would instantly bring me? Because whenever you see footage of people like at a Michael Jackson concert, and they're like just literally in hysteria, like crying and fainting, I've always felt like, why are they reacting that way? But I guess, I don't know, when somebody or something you love so much is there in front of you and you can't handle it. I don't know. I've never experienced that. the first celebrity encounter that I ever had was with Arnold Schwarzenegger when I was like 12. This was prior to him becoming the governor of California, and he was in Fresno, which is not too far from here. He was in Fresno endorsing something called Proposition 49.
Okay.
And Prop 49, funny enough, is actually what ended up being responsible for me having a job in the after-school program later, because what it was after-school programs for schools, basically.
Okay.
And he gets up and does his little speech, and I remember my dad telling me, yeah, Arnold's going to be in Fresno tomorrow. Like, we should go just to see him. And I remember being so negative and telling my dad, like, there's no point in us going. There's going to be 10,000 people there. We're not going to get close to him. So whatever distance we are away from him, he's going to appear like a little pencil dot on a map or something.
Yeah.
But dude, we show up in Fresno near what is now River Park, where this IMAX theater is. And we were pretty close. I still have pictures of it. He gets up there, does a speech. And the mayor of Fresno at the time was a guy named Alan Autry. Alan Autry, his most famous thing was he was on a TV show called In the Heat of the Night. He was a cop on that show.
Ooh.
And Alan tells the audience, okay, guys, Arnold's got to go. He doesn't have time to sign autographs or anything right now, but maybe next time he will. And then Arnold gets in the microphone and goes, okay, Fresno, and I'll be back,
Oh, yeah, classic.
So he walks off the stage, and I left my dad. I was like,
okay, bye. Arnold's here.
I'm off. And I started running, and my goal was I am going to run as fast as I can to get ahead of where I think he's going.
Yeah.
And I ran, and I see him walking up this way, and he gets right here, and he reaches out his hand, and I shook his hand, and he said, mind you, I'm 12 years old, okay? And he says, vote yes on Proposition 49. And I'm like,
you're like, yeah, in 6 years when I can vote, moron.
I can't even vote, but that was my first celebrity experience.
Did you cry? Did you get?
I did not cry though. I think I was so blown away by the reality of what was happening that I couldn't cry. But I've often thought I definitely don't want to turn this political at all, but
please, you're American. We don't know what you're talking about.
I've often felt like if I met Obama, I would probably cry.
Yeah, I could say. I feel like I would cry if I met Obama, and I'm a Canadian who doesn't know anything about it other than he's better than what you currently have. Before we go down that route, this is a question of yours, so you can ask it.
Yeah, I wanted to know, especially in the climate we're living in right now, people talking about, things that are irrational and whatever, about this current situation. What do you think is your most irrational fear?
I have a generalized anxiety disorder, so everything's a little scary. And I just said disorder; it's never been diagnosed. But I think I think you know this too. I think all entertainers, especially, live with some sort of anxiety because it's a constant. You have a teaching job, so you have more of a secure landing, but you're still doing filmmaking and some acting work and whatever. But I think I live with that constant state of anxiety. And I've talked about a lot of things on this show that make me anxious, whether it be space or drugs or, like a bad trip drug experience, which was the last show, which was a hilarious fucking show. Big open spaces, not so much, but small spaces, yeah, I'm a little claustrophobic. I actually thought my biggest fear would be to get trapped in a cave or something, an irrational fear, being trapped underground in a cave. But then I was on a hike a couple years ago with my ex-girlfriend, and we were up in the Manitoulin Islands, and we were spelunking. Spelunking is the exploration of caves. But I didn't know that's what we were doing. I thought we were just going for a hike, but there was a spelunking. It's a hilarious word. Spelunking section of the hike where at the start, you're in a cave and you have to literally climb and you're in underneath and you have to whatever. And for a big chunk of it, you cannot see it all. You just have to hope that the light's on the other side of the tunnel. And I was but I'm also with my ex-girlfriend. I'm trying not to cry in front of her in public. No celebrities around. So I was just I was like, okay, I'm just gonna do it, and I literally did it, and it was while I was doing it, fucking terrifying. And mind you, this was not like thousands of feet. It was maybe 100 feet underground. But there's a good maybe 15-foot section where you're literally in the middle. You can't go any further behind you. You can't go any further in front of you. Like that, you're in the middle. You're equidistant from the start to the finish.
Ooh, that's a big word there.
Thank you. I'm a pretty smart guy. I gotta be honest. Don't let the suntan and Jersey Shore references fool you. I can use words like equidistant. And I was like, holy fuck. I could feel not only the physical walls, but the mental walls of like, this is bad, this is bad, this is bad. And I literally took like 2-step drags and I saw the light and I came out and it was literally like I got off a roller coaster. I was like, holy fuck. I was like, that was amazing. I'm like, we got to do that again. She's like, if we do it again, we have to do the entire hike over again. And I was like, okay, we don't, but that was really cool. So what I've found in my life, and this is a Will Smith quote that I quote often with my students and friends of mine, is that God, or if you're not as religious, the universe puts the best things in life on the other side of fear. So if I become overly irrationally fearful of something, it generally means that something good is past it, and I will go past that. That being said, I'm not watching any fucking scary movies. I'm not doing any of that shit. I was on a date with a girl who wanted to go on a haunted house. No. Not doing any of that. Not doing any of that. I'll do something if it makes me scared, so if I can become a better person on the other side of it. But to just be scared for no reason, for fun, for fucking scary movies and for haunted houses, I'm not doing it. So
you don't feel as though there's anything good on the other side of, let's say, Friday the 13th or something?
No, I watched that and I'm like, it's a movie that, well, I don't know, Friday the 13th. Some of the older ones are more funny than scary, but
true.
I'm like, this is just a movie that I'm going to watch. Say I watched it, and then everyone's like, you watched a scary movie. Everyone's like, okay. And then I have to think about it for 2 weeks and be fucking anxious and sweaty all the time? No, I'm not doing it. But something like I was forced to spelunk, and then I spelunked. And then I felt amazing after. It was exciting in a rush. I came through that fear. I've developed somewhat of a fear of flying because I had some shitty experiences on planes, and it just makes me anxious every time I take off. But then I realize every time I get on a plane, I end up somewhere good for some reason, for a show or experience or travel. So fuck it. Do it, because you know it's going to be great on the other side. So, yeah.
Well, that's very inspiring at all. But if I can just backtrack 1 second, though.
Sure.
When you're with a girl, let's say, and she wants to go through a haunted house thing.
Yeah, I said no.
Right. What is the reason that you give? Are you honest about the idea that I'm just scared, I don't want to do this, or is it something else?
Yeah, no, I literally say that. I don't want to do that. That's too scary for me. And the girl thought I was kidding. This was months ago. It was like almost a year ago, I think. We were in Niagara Falls, which is Vegas divided by 1,000 times of fun. It's a one strip with 2 casinos and some haunted houses and some midway and stuff like that. And the 7th wonder of the world, or 9th wonder of the world, whatever the fuck it is, Niagara Falls. And there's a strip, and there's a thing called Screamers.
I believe the 9th wonder of the world is China, by the way.
Oh, yeah, that's right, the wrestlers. Sorry. Yeah. I was off on my odd numbers there. One of the wonders of the world, the amazing, beautiful Niagara Falls is there. And then they've created a tourist trap around it and 2 casinos. There's a place called Screamers, and we were out for a walk, and she like literally started to lead me towards Screamers, and I'm like, I'm not doing that. And she's like, what? I'm like, I'm not doing it. And she's like, you're joking. I'm like, I'm not joking. I'm not fucking going. She was trying to pull me. Again, she was probably like $130. I'm fucking 230, 240 after COVID. So she's trying to pull me, and I'm just standing there with my arms straight. I'm not going in. She's like, are you joking? I'm like, I'm not joking. I'm not fucking doing it. And then she was like, okay. So we went to like Boston Pizza or some shit. We had a meal, and that was it. But yeah, it was. I won't do that. I will not. I refuse. I refuse. So is that irrational? Yeah, it's a little irrational. Which leads me to our next question, which is a question of yours.
Well, snowballing into that there, what would you say is the basis for the most ridiculous fight you've ever had with a significant other?
One that jumps to the top of my head, and I thought about this earlier because if you can't tell, we pre-wrote these questions because you sent them to me and I put them as banners and put them on the show and then had you as a guest. But in a most spontaneous way.
These are being asked spontaneously.
In a look behind the fourth wall, I have never heard this question before, and I thought about this, and I truly did. My ex, 2 exes ago, slapped me in the face while we were assembling IKEA furniture. And the worst part about it is my mom saw the whole thing. So, dun dun dun. So, before I continue on with this story, I appreciate those commenting along. If you're watching, you can see Larry and I. Please share this stream; it means the world to me. Obviously, you guys are the best, and this has been eye-opening, fun show. I didn't realize how much storytelling I was going to do. And then Thursday night when we talk about crime, it'll be less about me and more about breaking the law. Okay. So what happened was I had a very let's say passionate ex-girlfriend where she was beautiful. There's an old douchebag thing where it's like yeah, it's like a triangle. You have you have attractive, intelligent, emotionally stable. You have these 3 things, and you can pick when you're dating someone. You can only pick 2 of those things. You can't have all 3. And if you find all 3, you'll be very happy. And I can honestly say right now, I think I found a girl who has all 3. So we're working on that. We're working on something. That's going to be another episode, the relationship episode. But in my ex-girlfriends, I had a girlfriend who was emotionally stable and gorgeous. Dumb as fuck. Okay? She didn't know the capital of Canada. She was born there. I had an ex-girlfriend who was very intelligent and very pretty. She was crazy, and she would get very upset over little things, like IKEA furniture. So she would get worked up over things. I don't know if that's the word. Get very upset about things. So my mom bought a pillow box for our backyard patio furniture, for the pillows that go on the patio furniture. Literally a box, 8 sides, square box, screw it together. And my mom's like, I got a project for you guys. Put together that box. And I was like, okay, let's do it. I hate IKEA furniture, but this might be a fun thing that we do as a couple together. And we're on the back patio, and we dump out all the shit, and we're trying to put the screws on and all that kind of shit. And she's using the wrong screwdriver for the screw. And I'm telling her, that's the wrong one. And she's like, it's not. Read the fucking instructions. It says A to B, and you put C and D. And I'm like, but you're putting A to C, and this is B, and that is D. She's like, Eric, I go to McMaster University. I know what the fuck I'm doing, okay? You went to theater school. You went to film school. I go to university. I know the difference between A, B, C, and D. And I'm literally, that's first of all a heavy chirp. It was very funny. And I'm laughing at that. And then, but she was serious. She was fucking losing it. She's like, I fucking know what I'm doing. I'm a university graduate. And I'm like, okay. So she literally figured that she's like trying to screw it, stripping it, fucking sweating. And I'm standing there holding the pieces that she's trying to screw. And I just think it's progressively more funny. So I'm literally laughing, my shoulders are going, and I'm laughing so hard silently that I start to shake the fucking IKEA furniture. And it's like that Bill Burr bit when he's like, when the girl's like, are you laughing at me? And that is funny alone. So she stands up, and the way she stood up, she was only like maybe 5'4", but she looked 6'4" when she stood up. She's like, are you laughing at me? Fuck you. And I stood up at the same time, and she went, wow, and just like literally like Fresh Prince when he gets punched in the bowling alley, like boom. And I literally jumped back and I hit the back door, and it was like a scene from a movie where I go like boom, and through this window over my shoulders I hit the back door. My mom had just come to check on us to see how we were doing with the IKEA furniture. So my mom just sees like, fuck you. I'm like, against the back door. And my mom, I turn around, my mom's like, So the girl takes off, and I chase her down the street. My mom's like, "You better go get her. She's irrational." So I fucking start chasing her down the street. I bring her back into the house, and my mom, I dated her for 3 more years, but
Oh my gosh.
my mom was not happy about it. So that was, I think, getting fucking laid out over IKEA furniture is a pretty ridiculous fight.
Now, had she been the Chechnyan guy,
Yeah,
you know,
I would have hit her with a fucking stool.
yeah, Mom would have been calling the cops. You'd have had the stool ready.
Oh god. Okay, we're flying through these. Holy shit, we're already done an hour. This is crazy. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching this, like I said, I'm going to do a couple more questions. I appreciate you watching along, and I appreciate you sharing. I'm seeing the people who are sharing it. This stream already has. Let me look. This stream has 9 shares. Let's get that up to 15 shares if everyone's watching. I would appreciate it. You just heard a story about me getting slapped right in the face over IKEA furniture. And I'm gonna answer a couple more questions. You guys get to know me. Hey, Jessica Brown, I don't know how to do that face in real life. Yeah, it was that. She fucking smoked me. My mom saw it, and I made her apologize to my mom for putting her hands on my mom's son. And then, yeah, I dated her for 2.5 more years. She never hit me again, though. Thank God. I felt like I've been attacked.
I just think it's funny hearing you tell that story, because I realized that, according to you, you and her sort of swapped the stereotypical gender role in building something where it's typically the man who is ignoring the instructions and the woman who is, the voice of reason in it.
I can't believe that either. And, hopefully, that no man ever hits a woman, but, usually that fight starts the same way. And then whoever gets hit, I don't think it's right regardless. But it was just funny because I'm the one holding the pieces. So I'm like, this is not right. And she's like, it's right. And she's I think because she felt so silly, because she was like, you fucking went to theater school. Or you dropped out of theater school. You went to film school. I go to university. I know how to build a box. And she was the wrong one. So she took her embarrassment out on my face with her fist.
Right.
You said scariest thing at a show was the funniest thing ever happened to you at a show. Oh, okay, that's a good one, Chuck. Larry, you want to read that back for the people?
Let's try and get this, in English again. So I think what Chuck is trying to say is that, you have already told the story about the scariest thing that happened to you at a comedy show. Chuck's question now is, what is the funniest thing that has happened to you at one of your shows?
I know it well. I'll do it very quickly. It happened recently. I was on tour at the Mark Ridley's Comedy Castle, Detroit, Michigan. Actually, Royal Oak, Michigan is the town. I was going down there to feature what they do at the, he said, sorry, Chuck, stop being so fucking Canadian. Larry's job is to be the moderator. He's not actually that mean. He said that's correct. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm back to fight. Hold on. I gotta get rid of that. Okay. So, the funniest thing that's happened to me, is Royal Oak, Michigan. I'm on stage. I'm doing the a very infamous, a very popular bit of mine that I close every show with, the difference between when guys black out and when girls black out. It's available on my YouTube page if you guys want to check that out. I did it live at the Laugh Factory recently. Every part of the joke I say, I walk to one end, and if it's a girl, I go, for some reason, I think it's you. What's your name, sweetheart? Whatever the name is, whether it's Brittany, Rebecca, Caitlin, Jessica, whatever it is, whatever they say, that's what the name is for the rest of the joke. So I say, I go over to this group of girls, and I go, something tell me it's one of you girls over here. What's your name, sweetheart? And the girl purposely said, well, I'm glad that you think that I'm a girl. She purposely dropped her voice.
Okay.
And I was like, what? And she was like, no, I'm fucking with you. Yeah, I'm a girl. I'm the fucking idiot. My name's Brittany, whatever. But that silent, really, it was like the scene from Goodfellas where it was like, well, what do you mean I'm funny? Funny how? And and Henry Hill, Ray Liotta's character, is just like, what? What did you just say? So I was like, what's your name? It's one of you girls. And she's like, yo, surprised that you thought I'm a girl. And because of the climate of the world, 2020 or 2019 at the time, I didn't want to, make gender assumptions. I didn't want to get whatever. And so when she said, "I'll fuck you with my name's Brittany," I kind of went like, "Oh, thank God." and there was 550 people there. I thought the roof was gonna blow off the place. It was just people went like, because it was like that biggest tension second where they thought I misgendered a man woman situation in a sold out crowd of 550 people, and it was just like that. And then everyone would cry. I was laughing so hard on stage, I collapsed. I fell into the ground. I had the microphone on my chest, and I was laughing so hard into the thing. It literally ate up like 5 minutes. I had to like speed up the rest of the joke, but I still now for sure that was like the funniest thing that's ever happened to me on stage. And Chuck's
That's hilarious. Yeah.
Okay, let's go on. Let's move on here. This is a hilarious question. You can read this one, Larry.
You know, I thought of this question because, you know, I wonder to myself, you know, we become adults, and I think that, you know, when you're a kid and you become an adult, you feel like you're going to pass this line of maturity at some point where you're just going to be grown up one day, and you're going to be an adult, and you're going to be mature and whatnot. And little do we all realize that that's a bunch of bullshit. I'm just wondering for you, since you became an adult, what would you say is your most immature moment?
Yeah, no problem. Great question. I believe that I've become an adult in a lot of ways, both physically, mentally, professionally, in relationships. The way that I give advice to people, the way that I take advice, the way I navigate through this plane of existence that we're all trying to navigate. I'm very proud of the man that I've become. However, there is something that I do still to this day that is so fucking immature, but it's so funny to me. It makes me laugh, but it causes constant conflict in my life, like something like a Larry David over my shoulder. It's an LD type situation where I do it. I know I shouldn't. It causes conflict, but I do it anyways. I do something on Instagram called the kiss of death. I'll explain. I tell people at the end of my shows to follow me on Instagram. Hey, follow me on Instagram. If you follow me on Instagram, I'll follow you back. However, if you unfollow me, I'm not a fucking idiot. I'm gonna unfollow you. That's one of my closing lines. So I hand out follow me cards out after all my shows. It's a little card. It says Eric Johnston. Follow me. My Instagram's on it. I follow back everyone. Anyone who follows me, I follow them back. Because I think it's a nice thing to do. It keeps us connected. It makes them into true fans. And we follow each other's journey through life. I think that's important. But that comes at a cost where I actually have to pay for an app called InstaFollow, and it tells me when somebody unfollows me. So when somebody unfollows me, a fan, say someone from Cornwall or Montreal or Saskatchewan, if they follow me, we have a little bit of a life together, and then they unfollow me, I'll get a notification saying so-and-so has unfollowed you. So I'm not a fucking idiot. I'm not going to continue to follow their life in Saskatchewan, so I unfollow them. Now, I use that as a business thing. That's a business thing that I do. However, it bleeds into my personal relationships. Because if there's someone I know personally who unfollows me on Instagram, I will go to their page. I will like 5 to 10 pictures in a row, and then I will unfollow them. Because I want them to know that I know what they did. That little move, and I call it the kiss of death. That little move has gotten me into so much awkward. As much as I hate conflict, I literally, at a Christmas party this year, some girl came up to me. She's like, what the fuck is the kiss of death? You're a fucking piece of shit. Nobody here likes you. You're obsessed with me. Fuck you. Because she was so mad that I called her out on unfollowing me. It created this massive problem that didn't need to exist. But it's so funny to me that I can't stop doing it. If I see someone that I know personally unfollows me, if someone might do it right now as a joke, I will literally go like 5 to 10 of their pictures in a row and unfollow them so they know that I know what they did, and let's start a fucking conflict. And then usually I try to squash the thing and go, hey, it's just a joke. I apologize. You don't have to follow me on Instagram. I know we've known each other for a long time. I usually have to have those kinds of conversations, but this girl was like inconsolably mad. It was like, fuck you. I thought her boyfriend was gonna punch me in the face. She was actually, and funny enough, she was actually at a show of mine right before the last show I did before quarantine. She was there because it was for a bunch of real estate, and she's a real estate agent, and it was like a real estate thing. And sorry, I'm getting a call on my thing and it's going in my headphones. It was like a real estate thing. So she was there and she was in the fucking audience being like, fuck you. You fucking kiss of death me. Fuck you. She hasn't let it go, but I don't know. That's currently the most immature thing I do in the world.
Yeah, let me ask you something real quick. This what is the app called again? What is it?
I'll tell you right now. It's
Insta
called
something? They're all Insta something, right?
Oh, this one's actually, I used that one called InstaFollow. I have a better one called Reports. I pay $18.99 a year.
So you have in your yearly.
So look. It's loading right now. I'm upstairs and I have my data off because I didn't want to run on the show. But it tells me all the people who are following me, all the people who are not following, people who I've lost, people who are interactors, people who have blocked me, people who are watching my stories. I know it all. So when someone unfollows me that I know, I'll get a little ding. So and so, Larry J. Price unfollowed you on Instagram. I'll go, really? I click on it, I click on the profile, like, unfollow. So they know what I know what they did. It causes so many fucking beefs in my life, but I can't stop doing it. It's funny. And now people don't unfollow me because they know they're going to get kiss of death.
So you have a spite budget.
Yeah, it's $18.99 a year, $15 American.
You have a spite budget, and because it benefits your career, you can write that off on your taxes.
Yeah, it's a taxable spite budget. I'd like to return this app. Why? For spite.
That is unbelievable.
Yeah.
If I may, with that question, may I tell my own immature story?
Oh, please. No, of course.
Okay.
This is not just all about me. You're asking the questions, but
I'm embarrassed to admit how recent this was. Like, this was within the past year or so. And, I seem to feel at different points in my life that I've crossed this line of maturity, as I said, where, I'll never do anything immature ever again. And I'm, a person without flaw and whatever. Anyway,
so
there was a time.
One.
Oh, yeah. Complete lie. I was at home at some point in the last year. This is before I moved to Hanford. I was living in Lemoore still. And I was at home, and outside the window, I heard, definitely was the voice of children yelling at somebody. And I kept hearing like, yo, F you, old man. Yo, old man, look over here, you effing. And like they were, calling him a bitch and all this. And I thought, what the hell is going on out there? And it kept happening. Like, it was probably 5 to 10 minutes of this yelling. So I open my front door real quick and I look outside. And what I see is a group of kids who were probably in the range of 10 to 12 years old. And they are yelling at an old man who is riding a tricycle. I'm going to assume that he is probably homeless, probably a veteran or something, knowing this area.
Yeah.
And they are calling him, every profane word you can think of, including racial slurs and whatever. Mm-hmm. And I, of course, this just gets my blood boiling right away.
You're a man. You're a classic gentleman. Yes. Yes.
That these 10 to 12-year-old kids are yelling at this poor old man who is riding a tricycle around. And I look down the street to where the old man is, and I see that he is riding toward the boys on his tricycle. Okay. And he's picking up speed, like he is going to pursue these boys. But I know that as fast as he can pedal on the tricycle, he will never be as fast as the feet of a 12-year-old boy who's running as fast as he can. It's impossible.
Yeah, good cardio, never smoked. Yeah, that's a good kid. Kids got wheels.
At some point, though, the kids were spooked by the fact that he was coming after them. It was sort of like the old man in Home Alone. It was that kind of thing.
The South Bend Shovel Slayer, yeah. My favorite movie.
And so when I saw them, again, I have no part in this. Like, they're not yelling at me. I have no part in this. But as soon as I saw them running away, something happened where I had to say something or intervene. I don't know if I was taken back to when I was in 5th grade and I was being picked on or what. As soon as I saw them running in fear, I threw the door open and I took about 5 steps into my front yard, and I, as loud as I could, yelled, "Who's the bitch now?" Like that. And the kids are running and running and running, and I got in my car.
Okay. The pursuit continues.
I don't know what I'm thinking. The old man sees me do this, right?
Yes.
And he starts trying to flag me down, to tell me something. I ignored him. I got in the car and I started driving in the direction the kids ran.
So now you're a bystander trying to attack children. I've been there.
And I'm like, okay, I don't know what I'm doing. If I'm gonna see if I can talk to their parents, or what am I doing right now?
Yeah.
And I assumed that based on where they were running, that they probably ran into this apartment complex that was nearby. And I was correct, because I drove into this complex and I see the group of kids peeking out of this door, looking for the old man. And something washed over me then where I was afraid the old man was going to get the kids. So I told them, I said, "You guys better get inside, lock the door. The old man's coming. Get it quickly." And
you put fear and safety into their hearts.
Yeah. And I went back home and I sat there and I went, "What the hell is wrong with you? Why did you even do anything?"
You became a fucking vigilante for tricycle justice.
Yeah. So it was funny. There you go.
Well, thank you. That's good.
Yeah.
Okay, this one's another one. You can read this one as well.
Do you have any bizarre at-home routines that are probably unique to you and you alone? Some examples, I don't know, might be how you go to bed or what you do when you get up. What do you do that's unique to you?
The only thing I could think of when I saw this question was is I just shower a lot. So much so that I can't leave. I don't know, it's not OCD, because OCD is a real mental health that everyone's like, I like to line my stuff up on my desk. I'm OCD, and it's not real. They real OCD people have a real mental health. Some people just like to be neat and tidy. That's one thing. But I have a slight tick where I cannot leave the house without showering. I can't do it. I cannot leave this house without having a shower, hair done, an eyebrows, moisturize, 2 types of cologne, 3 types of cologne, deodorant, iron shirt, jeans or dress shirt or suit, whatever. I can't see the world without doing those things. I will not feel anxious. I'll just feel off. I won't be able to have conversation. I won't be able to be my natural self. And this was actually turned into a negative. My ex-girlfriend, the one who punched me in the face over IKEA furniture, she once had a really bad UTI, and she had to go to the hospital. And she literally had to go to emergency care. And I still think about this. I feel bad about this, so we're even for the her punching me in the face thing. She was in excruciating pain. She was literally keeled over. She felt that the UTI had moved into her kidneys, which could be lethal if I hear. She was literally on the ground in the fetal position, crying. And she's like, "You need to take me to the emergency, the St. Joe's walk-in." And I was like, "Absolutely, I will." But then I started to put my clothes on, and I realized that I hadn't showered yet. And I was like, "But I have to shower." She's like, "What?" She's literally through tears being like, "You have to take me to the hospital." I'm like, "I'm going to take you. No problem. We're going to go. We're probably going to be there for 3-4 hours. And I'm probably going to see some people I know."
Yeah.
So I was like, I have to shower. And I felt so bad after the fact. It was I turned into a werewolf shower, but then I came out of it and I just felt bad after I showered, where I'm like, I just got to take a quick rinse. Then I realized that I hadn't shaved. I brushed my teeth in the shower. I did my full routine. I get out, I'm literally blow drying my hair, and she's crying on the ground. I'm going to die. again, mind you, this was like 6 years ago. I think I've matured slightly. And that's where I said to myself, okay, this has become obsessive. Like this has become mental health. I should really check this. Where I couldn't even take a suffering person to the hospital without showering. I still am a very big cleanse guy. Like I'm wearing deodorant, cologne. I showered. I ironed this shirt. I did my hair to be on this show. And it's in my attic. The show is in my attic. So it's, I'm presenting, so I should. But my bizarre thing, which is I need to handle better, is showering too much. So you tell a story that makes me look like less of a piece of shit?
I don't think that I can, actually. That is the worst thing I've ever heard in my entire life.
Okay, I'm sorry. I felt as I was saying it, I'm like, this isn't going to go over well.
How many? What do you think is like? What is the most number of times that you've showered in a day? Do you think?
I think on a very serious note, I think 5 is my top.
Oh my god!
And all of them seem to have a reason. So it was like, okay, I got up. When I get up, I got a shower. Okay, I know exactly what it was. I got up, showered, went and got a haircut, came home. Haircut was fantastic, but it was one of those messy ones where you had hair kind of all over you and in your ear. So quick rinse. Then I went to the gym, showered.
Okay.
Went to the gym, came home, showered. Then I ate and I barbecued. And there's nothing worse I hate more than smelling like barbecue. So I showered after that. I had a show that night, went out, did the show, got super sweaty, and then went to the bar after and spilt Jaeger like down my shirt. So the whole front of me was sticky. So I came home, showered. That's 5 in one day. That was like, that's extreme.
Yeah.
It's usually 1 to 2. A show nights is 2 for sure. So yeah. Couple showers,
but you definitely every morning when you wake up, it's a shower right away.
No, I've got to kind of make myself less crazy about this. I used to get up, literally stand up, walk out of the bed, walk down the stairs into the shower. That used to be my morning routine just to get the day started. Now I go make a coffee, I send emails, I work on this show, I work on booking tour dates, I whatever. And then once I have to do something, whether I'm going out, going to the gym, going to grocery stores, wherever I'm going, shower. Then the shower happens. So yeah, that's the most, I say that's the most, not bizarre, but it's on there. It's close. The amount that I like to shower and be prim and proper and hair done and fabulous is this, and which leads us to our next question. What's the gayest thing you've ever done? What I just did there. How I like to be perfect and prim and proper. No, not the gayest thing I've ever done is I danced competitively for 7 years. And actually it's a funny thing that happened. I'm currently seeing someone. And I would say I'm with someone now, and she actually had to have a conversation with me when we first started talking. Like, hey, this gay thing that you do, she's like, what? I'm starting because like my whole big flamboyant, kind of outgoing, personality.
Yeah.
So when she was becoming my girlfriend. She literally was like, I'm starting to get some serious feelings for you. Are you
for real?
You need to explain this gay thing that you have, and we need to, because I don't want to be a beard, is basically what she was telling me. It ended up being a fucking hilarious thing. It was like a mini fight conversation that ended up turning into something so funny. And then I've already written a joke about it where I'm so flamboyant that my girlfriend had to be like, hey, before we get into this, I don't want you to be like putting me in a football uniform and asking if you can call me Mike and stuff. So yeah,
man,
things are good. We're all good. I'm gonna move on.
Yeah.
What's the biggest lie you have told to take yourself out of an uncomfortable situation? I don't lie. Yeah, it's a good question, but I don't lie much. I'm actually one of those guys, almost like a Larry David, where I'll just tell the truth to get out of an uncomfortable situation. Where I'll be like, I'm not comfortable here. Like I'd like to leave now.
Oh, I've definitely told, terrible lies that I felt were trivial to leave. Like, I recall one time when I was a car salesman. I worked for a Honda dealership, and I was miserable. It was the worst time in my life. I think it was the worst job I ever had as far as the daily routine of it. And I remember like nearly having a mental breakdown at work and knowing like I have to get out of here. I don't know what I'm going to say or what I'm going to do, but I have to get out of this place immediately. And I remember when I came to that realization, I stood up and I was walking toward my boss's desk. And I remember thinking, I do not know what's going to happen when I get to that desk. I don't know if I'm going to get there and I'm going to start screaming and yelling and telling this guy how much I hate him or whatever, or if I'm going to quit, or I don't know what's going to happen. And I got to the desk. And when I got to the desk, I told him that my brother had called me just now to let me know that our mother was in a car accident and that it wasn't looking good, and that I had to go immediately. And I left, and I was gone for I think 4 days. And that was.
So did you ever follow up? How's your mom?
Well, yeah, you get back to work and the question's like, so how's it going? Is everything okay? You know, how's your mother? What's going on? I'm like, you know what? Looks like she's gonna be all right. Close call. And
she's more banged up than anything. We were a little concerned there.
It was rough.
Yeah, that's shitty. Well, actually, thanks for making me feel better about my not taking the girlfriend to the hospital because I had to shower thing, because that mom thing's pretty bad. Pretty bad.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, you can only use it once. I mean, you can only use the death of your family like that one time, with it being a lie.
Yeah, and then they're going to start reading obituaries. Like, didn't she already die?
Yeah, they're going to start looking it up. I mean, you have to. That's you're saving that for the big guns, like the big time when you really have to go.
Yeah, that's a big one. Larry, this is another question of yours, so you can read it.
Yes, please. What is something that you are terrible at, but you wish you were good at?
I think just all sports. Actually, I'm going to golf tomorrow. I'm not a terrible golfer. I think golfing is my best sport. And my best extreme sport would be snowboarding. But like literally, I played in a kickball tournament last year. I got MVP. But like just
really,
general, yeah.
Wow.
I'm shocked myself. I just caught. It was one of those days like I've been watching the Last Dance recently, the Michael Jordan documentary. Is like one of those things where he just caught fire. It was like one of those things. I was playing kick baseball tournament, and I like caught everything. I kicked a couple home runs. I tagged people out. It was like as it was happening, I was like literally like Field of Dreams. I'm like, this is the best ever. I wish I could feel this more often. Then we literally played the next year. And I was the worst player on the team. Like I've always throughout my life been picked last on every team sport. I also have no competitiveness. I don't give a shit who wins or loses. I remember we used to be like in elementary, high school, that scene from Superbad where he's like, "Come on," he's like Evan or Seth. Or Evan, and he's like, it's fucking soccer. Who gives? It's fucking soccer. That's literally like my friends growing up. They play like ball hockey and soccer, baseball and stuff like that. And I literally just didn't care. I'm watching like Robin Williams documentaries and working on doing my own accents. And like, you know what I mean? Like that's just my world. I'm competitive about stand up in terms where I always want to be good. But other than that, I don't give a fuck about anything. And I kind of wish I did care more about that kind of shit. I just don't. So I don't know. You?
I think I could probably second the athletic thing for sure. I mean, I think that was probably something that was disappointing to my father, was the fact that I was not into sports really. I mean, I remember at some point watching a tape that was recorded like a few days after I was born, and my dad is carrying me around the room and he's showing everybody my hands, like, oh, look at those strong hands Larry has. Those are going to be some good hands for throwing a football, like I'm going to be a quarterback someday. And that was never the case. And my dad did try to involve me in sports as well. I did 2 years of basketball and 1 year of t-ball, and I just never excelled, and I was awful. But hey, you just for a brief second mentioned Field of Dreams when you were speaking.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, by the way.
Okay, well, I think probably the last time I cried in public was
Round it out.
last year when my son and I, for Father's Day, went to go see Field of Dreams in theaters.
Okay.
Now, I've seen Field of Dreams before. I know what it's about. I know how it begins and ends. But there was something about sitting in the theater watching it with my son, and I'm not spoiling anything really for you here, but
I probably won't watch it, but yeah.
I was doubtful of that anyway. The plot of the movie is that Kevin Costner, he's like a farmer, right? Mm-hmm. And he basically gets this vision to build a baseball field in like where his crops would go. Okay. And the whole idea is like he hears this voice saying, if you build it, they will come. Meaning if he builds this field, all of these old dead baseball players are going to come from heaven or whatever and play baseball there. And that's exactly what happens. And among the old dead baseball players that come to play on this field, like all the greats, Babe Ruth and whatever, among all these dead baseball players is his father. So the ghost of his father is out there playing this game. But the thing is, it's his father when his father was like 30, like he's young, right?
Okay.
And the ghost of the father or whatever, like he doesn't like know Kevin Costner.
Is he played by Ray Liotta?
Yes. Okay.
I don't know. I just know that for some reason.
Yes. And the father, does not know that this is his son or whatever, but Kevin Costner obviously knows, that's my dad out there.
Yeah. Oh, I'm going to try already.
There is a part at the end of the movie where all of the baseball players, are now leaving the field. So they kind of walk off into the corn stalks and disappear. But the Ray Liotta, the father character, is still out in the field. And
then don't they just play catch? And he's like, just a couple minutes with me or whatever.
Hold on.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to kill your story. I'm remembering it from pop culture references.
Yeah. He's about to leave. And again, the whole time they've been talking, they are not addressing each other as father and son. It's like two guys talking. And as Ray Liotta is about to leave, Kevin Costner has one just very simple line that made me start crying so hard that I was vocalizing in the theater.
Yeah.
And Kevin Costner looks at Ray Liotta as he's walking away and says, "Hey, Dad." And the guy turns around. Ray Liotta turns around. And he says, "Want to have a catch?" And they start playing catch together, and that's the end of the movie. And it's like for anybody that just wishes they had that 10 more minutes with their father or whatever the thing is, right? And I was crying so hard that I was having to try to contain myself because I was making noises,
Mm-hmm.
And
real tears, Manolo Santano's tears, Jake the Snake Roberts tears, Joe Rogan tears.
Yeah, and then Stone Cold Steve Austin walked in and you started crying.
He was like, there's my celebrity story. That leads us perfectly, and we're going to end on a, I guess, positive, not necessarily emotional, but positive emotional angle. This is not a question from you. This is a question from my friend Nathan. Now, you and I have both lost our fathers at a young age. And you just gave a touching story about your dad, and I can give hours worth of mine. We're down to the last bit of the show here, and I'm gonna do this quickly. But the question is, what was the best advice your father ever gave you? Now, I talked about this before. I recently put a video on my YouTube channel, which is available to click on, blah, 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 called No Cheat Codes. A story about my dad told me about how there's no cheat codes in life. I'm not going to do that story because it's already on the internet and you can watch it at any time. Now, generally, I'd say this in an emotional way to close the show. The greatest thing that my father ever taught me before he, Chuck says the interview about your dad and the advice he gave you was awesome. See,
I agree.
It's a real video. Check it out. I would say this in closing, that no, and it sounds like a very cliche dad line, but I've literally lived my life based on this. And it's not necessarily that he ever said it, but that he showed it. The greatest thing that my father ever taught me is whatever you are, whatever you choose to be, not only in life, but in what you are being in every day, be the best version of that. Now, it sounds like that, those old cliche things like, my dad said, if you're going to be a ditch digger, be the best ditch digger there is, which is, again, almost like a canned response. But the way my father lived is proof of that, because he died young, and I almost believe that my dad almost knew that he was going to go at a young age. His father died at 59. My father died at 49. He stomped very hard when he walked, and I mean that figuratively. When he made an impression, he made a very lasting impression on people all over the world, with friends and family members and people that he met, people that he worked with, people that he entertained as a professional wrestler. Everyone remembers my dad, not only for who he was as a wrestler, but who he was as a man. My father loved my mother. He was the best version of a husband that I can picture. If my dad wouldn't have died, my parents would still be married today. They were that in love. My father was such a good father to my sister and I that although he died when I was 13 and my sister was 18, he showed us what it means to be a father. He laid out a blueprint on how to be a good dad that I'm going to take with me, that my sister's going to take with her and be a good mother. That lasting generations are going to know how to be a parent based on what my dad showed me and which I'm ready to show the world. My dad in the community, if he did something for charity, he not only did it for charity, he went over and above, and he would be the guy, like he did a toy drive. He was the guy staying up all night wrapping presents and hand delivering them to the people of the community. My dad when my dad wasn't a professional wrestler, he owned a black top ceiling and paving company, because that's what he had to do when he wasn't on the road wrestling. He would work 15, 16-hour days. He would go over and above. He would make sure that every job he did was done to the best of his ability, and that. Finally, my dad's life was a professional wrestler. My dad was not Macho Man Randy Savage. My dad was not Hulk Hogan. My dad wasn't even Jake the Snake Roberts, who I cried in front of. But my dad was a fucking legend. He wasn't a legend in terms of he was the WWE champion, but anyone who met or worked with my father said that he was one of the best workers that they'd ever worked with. He gave everything to not only to the match, but he was a great guy to work with because he could always teach you how to work with him in a match. And he also cared about the fans. He cared about making people content. He cared about making people entertained. He cared about making people laugh. He cared about, even when he was a heel, he even cared about making people scared. So I say this in closing, the biggest thing that my father ever taught me was, the biggest piece of advice that he ever gave me was, if you're gonna do something, fucking do it. And it's not, and respect and success and stuff is earned. It's not given. And if it was given, it'd be pretty fucking boring. And that's what I think he was saying with the no cheat codes thing, which is a video available on my YouTube page. And I think that was it. And like you and like the guy in Field of Dreams, I wish I could have 10 more minutes. But if I didn't, even if I couldn't, even if a magician came, or a magic fucking genie came down and said I could, I'd say give it to somebody else, because he taught me a lot. So I think that's it. You, Larry?
I couldn't possibly add anything more poignant to that.
Okay. Wow. See, we laughed, we cried. Dude, this was the Ask Me Anything. This was it. We usually do about an hour and a half to an hour 45. I didn't think I was going to be able to fill an hour with these questions, and we filled them all. We killed them all. Larry, I love you. Thank you for being on the show and being with me and being a voice to talk to and bounce these things off, or it would have been just me talking to the screen, which would have got pretty boring. Ladies and gentlemen, if you met Larry this evening, which you did, and you like Larry and you want to see more of Larry, please follow Larry at Larry J. Price. Not only is he an excellent actor, he's an excellent filmmaker, documentary filmmaker. He also makes funny videos he puts on his Instagram, and he's a hell of a guy, and he's a fantastic father, and he's a fucking one of my favorite people in the entire world and a great friend. And I'm so happy that I completely forgot that I did that, but I'm so happy that I went up to you at that bar in Vancouver and we sorted it out and we have the relationship that we have now.
As am I, and thank you for everything. I appreciate it.
Oh shit, I feel emotionally heavy, but that's what this show is all about. It can't all just be laughs around the clock. Sometimes you got to talk about your dead fathers. Dude, I love you. I'm going to close the show.
Love you too.
See you, buddy. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Larry Price. My name is Eric Johnston. This has been another episode of Eric Johnston Live. It's Tuesday night. Some people think it's Monday night. That's okay, but I am back Thursday. This Thursday, and the show is called I'm a Criminal. Bump, 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 bump. Yeah, I'm a criminal. The show on Thursday is about true crime stories. If you've ever been arrested, if you've ever been to jail, if you've ever broken the law and gotten away with it, if you've ever been just a general shitty person and it's been against the law and you got in trouble for it or you didn't, I want to hear from you. I'm going to have some amazing special guests telling their stories about times that they broke the law. I'm going to tell some stories about how I broke the law. And we are back Thursday night on Eric Johnston Live, talking about I Am a Criminal, true crime stories. I will remind everyone before I close the show, the Eric Johnston Campfire Comedy Tour is coming this summer. I'm already starting to book end of June, early July, through July and into August. So if you are having a family party, bash, or any kind of experience and you want to hire a comedian to be in your backyard in a social distancing, safe place situation, I'm your man and I will be there. The Eric Johnston Campfire Comedy Tour, summer 2020. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the show. I love you so much. Thank you for coming on, asking questions. Thank you for sharing. I love you all. I'll see you again. Good night, everybody.